Hey guys, today we're doing a stat breakdown of the UFC Light Heavyweight division, including Alex Pereira, looking at records, striking stats, grappling stats, and at the end we'll crown the statistically best striker in the division and the statistically best grappler in the division. Firstly, looking at the rankings, we have Jamahal Hill as champ, who has since recently vacated the belt due to injury. Not far behind, we have an all-European top 5 in Prochazka, Ankalaev, Blachowicz, Rakic, and Krylov. From rankings 5 to 10, the only real contender I see really is Johnny Walker, and of course Alex Pereira is currently unranked. Anthony Smith has the most wins in the division, although 6 of them were at middleweight and the remaining 7 were at light heavyweight. Blachowicz has the second most wins in the top 15 and the 7th most in UFC light heavyweight history. Jon Jones has made it hard for anyone to stick around in this division. We can see Jiri is the only undefeated fighter in the division through 3 fights, whereas Ankalaev and Hill have only lost to Paul Craig, who's the boogeyman of this division. Comparing win-loss ratios, Ankalaev and Hill have more than double the win-loss ratio than the rest of the division, whereas Volkan Ozdemir has a win-loss ratio of 1 in the UFC since he's fought contenders from the get-go. Pereira has the highest opponent win-loss ratio, although this is because he fought Izzy twice. Following on from the last slide, we can see Ozdemir has the highest opponent win-loss ratio, excluding Pereira. Also, we can see 2 of the top 5 fighters have very low opponent win-loss ratios, suggesting they haven't fought the greatest competition on the way up, although Ankalaev has fought 4 of the current top 10 fighters. The light heavyweight division is an old division, with Jan Blachowicz at 40 years old and all top 10 fighters above 30 years old. On to striking stats, Anthony Smith has the most knockouts in the division, although he has had 26 UFC fights, whereas Paul Craig has only managed 2 knockouts in 15 UFC fights. Jiri Prochazka has a 66% knockout rate with a 100% finish rate. The rest of the division also has some dangerous contenders, with 5 fighters above a 40% knockout rate. Looking at knockout losses, there are 2 chins yet to be cracked in the UFC, although Jiri did come close against Teixeira and there was a close call with an upkick from Reyes. Hill has also never been knocked out since his TKO loss was the arm break versus Paul Craig. Alex Pereira has the highest strike accuracy in the division compared to all the other light heavyweights, bringing a new level of striking to this division. It's also notable that 5 of the 6 most accurate strikers in the top 10 also have the highest knockout rate. Therefore, if being accurate in this division leads to KOs, the rest of the division better watch out for Pereira. If you've ever watched an Ankalaev fight, there's no surprise that he has the best striking defense, as he's a deadly counterpuncher who rarely goes first. Striking accuracy is a problem for Jiri, defending only 40% of strikes. He also hasn't fought any of the top 5 fighters with the highest knockout rate in the division, so I'd be concerned if he was to face any of them. Jiri also absorbs the most strikes per minute by a significant amount, whereas Ankalaev absorbs a third of the strikes that Prochazka does. We can see that Pereira has been hittable at middleweight, which may spell trouble if he lets a guy like Blachowicz catch him. If we look at strike output, the champ and number 1 contender have the first and second highest strikes landed per minute, and since Pereira is comparable to the champ and number 1 contender, he may be a good fit for this division. Looking at average strike differential, Jamahal Hill has nearly double the next in the division, although he was plus 157 significant strikes against Teixeira, which may mislead his stats. On to grappling stats, Paul Craig is on top of submissions, with the second most submissions in light heavyweight history, with 4 of 6 submissions being triangles. Krylov is tied second in submissions, who also has a favourite submission, with 3 of 5 being rear naked chokes. Craig also has the highest submission rate in the division, landing a submission in 40% of his 15 UFC fights. Despite being one of the better wrestlers and grapplers in the division, Krylov has been submitted 4 times by 4 different submissions: the Von Flue choke, a triangle, an arm triangle, and a guillotine. There are also 5 fighters in the top 10 who have never been submitted, since knockout is the way most guys try to get it done in this division. There are 3 fighters with a perfect takedown accuracy, although Walker only landed 3 takedowns, Jiri has only landed 1, and Pereira has only landed 1. Of the fighters who attempted more than 1 takedown, or more than 3 takedowns, Blachowicz is on top, landing 16 takedowns at 53% accuracy. Rakic has the best takedown defense in the division, defending a crazy 18 of 20 takedowns, although he did defend 12 in one fight, which was his first UFC fight. Alex Pereira can also defend takedowns at middleweight, although he didn't fight any of the best wrestlers in the division, such as Brunson and Hermanson. Krylov lands the most takedowns in the division, but interestingly, Craig is second. Since he has the second lowest takedown accuracy in the division, he needs to compensate with takedown volume. There are only 3 fighters in the division with more than 1 takedown landed per 15 minutes, which is essentially 1 takedown per fight, so to survive in this division you need to be able to strike. As well as takedown defense, Rakic also has the best average control time in the division, and controlled Anthony Smith for 12 minutes and 14 seconds in a 15-minute fight. And now, time to crown the statistically best strikers in the division. The way I did this was for each of the stats you can see on the screen, I gave the best fighter 5 points, the second best fighter 4 points, the third best fighter 3 points, and so forth, and added up all the scores and ranked the fighters based on their scores. The third best striker, according to the stats, is Alex Pereira, who is 7th in knockouts, 4th in strike differential, 3rd in strikes landed per minute, 1st in strike accuracy, and 4th in strike defense. I know this was at middleweight, but we're comparing him to the light heavyweights here. Second in the division is Magomed Ankalaev, who is 2nd in knockouts, 3rd in strike differential, 8th in strikes landed per minute, 6th in strike accuracy, and 1st in strike defense. And lastly, the statistically best striker in the division is Jamahal Hill, who is 2nd in knockouts, 1st in strike differential, 1st in strikes landed per minute, 5th in strike accuracy, and 8th in strike defense. Jamahal Hill's striking really isn't talked enough about in this division, and you can see he's 1st in 2 of the stats, 2nd in another, and 5th in another. Just crazy. Now, looking at the statistically best grappler in the division, noting that for takedown accuracy, I excluded the 3 fighters who have 100% accuracy because they've only attempted less than 5 takedowns. In 3rd place is Aleksandar Rakic, who is 8th in submissions, 10th in takedown accuracy, 1st in takedown defense, 6th in takedowns landed, and 1st in control time. In 2nd place, we have Magomed Ankalaev again, who is well-rounded with 8th in submissions, 4th in takedown accuracy, 2nd in takedown defense, 5th in takedowns landed, and 2nd in control time. And lastly, the statistically best grappler in the light heavyweight division is Nikita Krylov, who is 2nd in submissions, 2nd in takedown accuracy, 9th in takedown defense, 1st in takedowns landed, and 3rd in control time. That's the end of this video, guys. Let me know in the comments which division you'd like to see next, and anything I might have missed that's interesting in the stats. And as always, like, comment, subscribe, share, do all those good things, and I'll see you next time.